bee thing, and the whatever was drilling a hole in my garden. Um, this bee has been flying around, and I thought it was a bumblebee, and I named it Doug because I name everything. And every time it'd fly by, I'd be like, "Hey, Doug, what's up?" Doug's not a bumblebee. Doug is a carpenter bee, and whether it's Doug guarding the hole for the female inside, or whether Doug is actually a female, the one drilling the tunnel to lay her eggs in my garden, I don't know. But thanks, Doug. I gave you a bee house. I put up this bee hotel thing 5 feet from where they're building a nest. But of course, that's not good enough. Why would you want a bee house when you could have the whole friggin' mansion? So here's what we've got so far. I can hear it in there kind of clicking, so I know it's kind of digging that tunnel, and I don't want to kill it, but I also just don't want it in my garden. Like, I want it in the pollinator part of my garden. I want you to do your bee things, not destroy my wood that is hella expensive right now to replace. That's where Loretta is, laying some eggs. There's also somebody started to drill another hole over here. Well, looks like that's Loretta instead of Doug, because very actively digging in that right now. Cool. Because it's not like lumber's super expensive to replace that, and I don't know what to do. I showed my boyfriend that they were doing that, and of course his solution is to just go in guns blazing and spray everything, which I don't want to do. Yesterday was World Bee Day, and I'm like, please don't kill the bee. So yeah, if you have any suggestions, any experience with carpenter bees, please tell me what to do. I don't want to go all scorched earth, destruction and death, but I also don't want them to ruin my garden. So, help. Just wanted to show you everybody now that they're in. Got them in here with these herbs. This entire front row here is all San Marzanos. The back row, we've got 1 Monster Italian and 3 Romas. And then one of our bed is zinnias. We move over, we've got our peas, our carrots, radishes, spinach that's coming up, and then we've got all of our peppers. So we've got 1 holy moly pepper, 1 chocolate habanero, 1 chili de arbol. We've got 2 poblanos in the back, and then 3 jalapenos, 3 serranos, and 3 red bells. And then we've got some more zinnias in the back, broccoli on this side, some melons that still need to be planted somewhere, probably in here once the broccoli comes out. And then we've got our herbs, and then down here we've got our 4 potatoes. This is the first one I planted. I'm doing very well. And these were planted a little bit later, but you can see the soil start to crack, so it's coming up. And then we've got some Yukon Golds, also starting to do, and then I just planted these yesterday, so they're not doing anything yet. One thing I forgot to show you guys, because honestly I forgot to bring them out with me, is the stakes that I'm going to use. I actually am using these 4-foot bamboo stakes, and I kind of put them in a triangle around each one for now, and then I'm going to kind of use string, or probably that same yarn that I have as my grid markers, to kind of help trellis it up in a kind of makeshift cage. So I did that for the tomatoes, and then, sorry about that really quick swing around, and then for the peppers, I've only got kind of going down a line, since these I don't think need to be kind of supported quite as much as the tomatoes. I'm gonna do a Florida weave, where it kind of just weaves back and forth between the plants and kind of holds them within these stakes. So that is how I'm going to support my peppers and tomatoes. So I told you guys I have like 0 garden experience, which not totally true. I have very, very minimal garden experience, and not a lot of garden success in that experience. So growing up, we didn't have a garden at my house when I was young. We lived in kind of a suburban neighborhood like we do now. Our backyard, pretty much the same size, pretty much the same sun. No reason that we couldn't have had a garden, but we didn't, just because we were not garden people. We were not really even fresh food people, but that is a different story for another day. So I don't know how to garden. I tried at my house. I don't remember how long ago it was, so I don't think it was in high school. Maybe it was, I don't know. Could have been high school, could have been college over the summer when I came home. Could have even been a little bit after college, because I did move home for a couple years. But I tried to grow herbs and strawberries. Was really pumped about strawberries. I really, really wanted, I love strawberries. So I was like, I'm gonna buy some strawberry plants, and I'm gonna put them in one of those little like pocket strawberry planters, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna have like abundance of strawberries that I get to eat over the summer, and it'll be great. I don't think I harvested a single strawberry off of that. I'm pretty sure I killed the whole thing. So that was a big fat 0. Like, I don't even know. I don't even remember what I did or didn't do to those. I just know they didn't grow. The herbs, I grew basil. I grew, I think, thyme and maybe rosemary, and I put them all in the same like planter pot. The basil did great. It's the only thing I've ever grown that was like prolific and giant harvest. It killed the rest of the thyme, and I'm pretty sure it also killed the rosemary, because it was all in the same pot and it just overgrew everything. And then harvesting it and trying to use it, I realized I don't like basil. Like, I don't like the taste of it. I don't want to use it in sauce. I don't want to use it in pizza. I don't want to use it for pesto. Like, I don't like basil at all. So yeah, the only thing that I grew was the thing that I hate. So, I mean, I guess it's a half point for me, maybe. So my only other garden experience was a colossal failure. Every kind of I have no idea what I'm doing mistake I pretty much made. So I moved into my apartment I lived by myself. I was super excited because I'm like, I have my own space, I have my own apartment, I'm an adult now. And it had this little patio that I was really excited to like sit outside and enjoy. And I was like, I'm gonna grow things on it. Didn't really think it through that I lived on the first floor and there was a balcony above me that completely covered my patio. And then also it was, so my back door, my patio was probably like 6 feet by 8 feet maybe. And then another maybe 10 feet from the edge of my patio was like a drop off where it was just a giant hill with all kinds of woods. Like it was a beautiful view. Like I had wooded view behind me. There was nothing else. Like I'm not staring into somebody else's apartment. But between the balcony and the trees, I had no sun. It's a lie. I had sun for maybe about 2 hours out of the day at the very edge of the front and the very edge of the side next to the air conditioning unit. And I tried to grow, what did I try? I tried to grow strawberries again. Obsessed with these strawberries. I harvested 2 and they were like that big and they were squishy. So they were overripe because I was just waiting for them to grow bigger and they never did. And then I tried to grow herbs again. No basil this time. I tried to grow rosemary, which I apparently forgot to water because it got crispy. And then I grew thyme. That actually did work. I did harvest some thyme off of that. And I got to dry it and use it for a bit. So half point again, I guess. Up to a whole point now. But the absolute failure of what I grew was my first attempt at tomatoes and peppers. So I don't even know what type of tomato I got. I honestly couldn't even tell you. I'm sure it was some sort of like store-bought transplant slicer tomato, which I don't like. I don't like tomatoes. I'm not gonna slice it up and put it on a sandwich. Like I'm not. Which is why most of what I'm growing right now are paste tomatoes because I'm going to use them for sauce instead of actually eating them like whole. So I got 2 slicer tomatoes and 2 jalapeno plants and I planted all 4 of them together in the same planter that was like 12 inches across, about 8 inches tall and 36 inches wide. All 4 of them together in this pot. No idea about spacing, obviously. Did not realize that tomatoes need a lot of room for their roots, so a pot this big is not sufficient. Did not realize that they needed to be staked or caged, so they had no support whatsoever. No room to grow, no sunlight, and then halfway through the summer we had a storm that came through with really heavy winds, and it, because I didn't have any support whatsoever on any of my plants, snapped one of my tomato plants in half, so that one was just done. Damaged the other one, took out one of my pepper plants, and I think damaged the other. So I had 2 plants left that were both slightly damaged. So my harvest at the end of the year was 1 tomato that was like the size of a cherry tomato, which again was not what I planted. I don't think. And then I had 2 jalapenos. That was it. That was all I got. And I didn't even use
any of it because I was like, what the hell do I do with 2 jalapenos when I have nothing else to use them in? Again, I don't know why I planted things that I didn't actually have a plan for. So yeah, I picked these jalapenos and I let them rot. So that is my garden experience. So this is definitely a novice walking into this. I have been heavily relying on books that I've gotten from the library, consulting the internet, watching YouTube videos. So I am trying my hardest to learn what to do and what not to do and what to look for. So hopefully, I'm thinking, crossing fingers, that this should go slightly better than those other experiences. Again, I'm struggling really hard with the strawberries again. Like, these fucking strawberries are going to be the one thing that I'm just gonna like continuously ruin.
Speaking of Doug, or maybe that's Loretta. Who knows?